Hi, I'm Jasper Pattendon at Wycombe Wanderers, and you're listening to Wycombe Sound.
The Wycombe Wanderers Show.
Welcome to the latest edition of the Wycombe Wanderers Show on a match day. Unusual. Yes, it is Thursday. Have the bin men come yet? Hope you had a very happy Christmas. And coming up in a slightly abridged version of our usual show, which this week forms part of the match build-up to kick-off, which is obviously 7:45 this evening down at Plymouth. We'll look back at the Boxing Day victory over Bristol Rovers at Adams Park, which took the club, albeit briefly, into the top six, only outside the playoff spots on goal difference, of course. Lots to look forward to as well, including this evening's game. We'll hear from manager Gareth Ainsworth and David Wheeler, of course, who scored at Adams Park on Boxing Day. We'll get some news from behind the scenes at the club, and we'll give you the opportunity to hear part two of our chat with Wycombe Wanderers Foundation's new Chief Executive, Mark Ankirk, on the way as well, including news of a fantastic room which the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association have helped pay for at Adams Park. And you might have heard in the news before Christmas as well about the Warm Hub, which starts next month too. Some other behind the scenes news from Adams Park to come for you in the next sort of 45 minutes or so as well. And but first, if you were at Adams Park on Boxing Day or were listening to the commentary on Wanderers TV or on Wycombe Sound, then you'll have already heard the highlights from that fantastic 2-1 victory over Bristol Rovers.
Welcome to Adams Park Boxing Day football. A fantastic tradition here in the UK. Wycombe Wanderers taking on Bristol Rovers. Ball down the channel. It's a really good ball now into the box. Finds Marquis. Ball cut back and it's tapped in by Coburn, and Bristol Rovers have the lead. And straight it goes long towards Vokes. Vokes with the flick on. Finds McCleary. He's just coming off that right hand side. McCleary now. It's got Mehmeti on the left. Mehmeti, it's a Wheeler! Yes! Wycombe Wanderers against the run of play have equalised here. It was a brilliant move. Vokes to head down to McCleary. McCleary to Mehmeti. Slide rule pass. And in slid David Wheeler into the roof of the net. Wycombe 1, Bristol 1.
Fantastic, yeah. I'm completely against the run of play, you have to be honest, but a goal's a goal and we'll take it anywhere we can. Just one thing I want to point out is the weight of pass from Gareth McCleary as he rolls it into Anis Mehmeti. It's fantastic. Quite often you see he gives it to feet, but he allows Anis to come onto it first time. He rolls it into the space, Anis comes onto it, and David Wheeler, as he always did, is the most determined man on the pitch to prod the ball home to give us the equaliser. Get in there.
Ball down the lines, a cut out again by Abita. First time clipped clearance towards Scowen. Evans heads the ball back and Scowen gets after it himself and then wins it and releases Mehmeti on that left hand side. Mehmeti corner of the penalty area, and it's Mehmeti still going, goes for goal, beaten away, deflection, wing, yes, it's there, it's a goal, the linesman has given it. Lewis Wing has got his goal. And Anis Mehmeti, the architect, the keeper, made a brilliant save, but the second ball allowed Lewis Wing to pick his spot, and I think he slammed it into the face of Josh Scowen, which was fortunately a yard behind the goal line.
Yeah, thank goodness for that. Goodness me, Scowen in the goal, takes a whack for his troubles, but he won't mind at all. But yeah, brilliant from Anis Mehmeti.
And the referee blows his whistle, and Wycombe Wanderers, and the final home game of the season, is an excellent victory. And we'll leave you with the final score. Wycombe Wanderers 2, Bristol Rovers 1.
So they were the highlights from Boxing Day. I'm very pleased to say we can speak to the man who brought you those highlights from Adams Park, Phil Catchpole, who of course is the head of audio and broadcast at Wycombe Wanderers, host of Ringing the Blues, and of course, as mentioned, our match day commentator as well. Very happy season's greetings to you, or whatever the best way of greeting you at this midpoint of between Christmas and New Year is. It seems too late to say Happy Christmas, but too early to say Happy New Year.
Oh, to coin an American phrase, I will say happy holidays, one and all.
Yes, it's fantastic to have you with us. And it really was a match of, well, certainly eventfulness. Indeed, sort of going behind so early must have come as a bit of a shock.
Yeah, I thought Bristol Rovers started the game really, really well. And Wycombe, I thought, were poor first 20 minutes. And Bristol Rovers really pushed forwards. I like the Coburn who scored for them. He looked a real handful. Looked like the sort of player that would do well in a Wycombe Wanderers team, in fact, on loan from Middlesbrough. Big, mobile, decent touch, held the ball up well, brought other runners in. And I thought Joe Barton's tactics were spot on, how they set up. I thought, they were very fluid in terms of their front 4 or 3 players, and very difficult to kind of track the runners. And I thought Collins for them was a really good standout player. and was causing all sorts of problems. And interestingly, when they went 1-0 up so early, and I have to give credit to the referee because this doesn't happen very often, but I thought the referee, Sonny Gill, was excellent. He booked someone for time wasting in the 8th minute. Bristol Rovers got in the lead and then they tried to slow the game down, as every team does, by the way. I know Wycombe Wanderers have a reputation for doing so, but and hopefully people who listen to me regularly on match commentaries will bear this out. But I always say every team does it, and it's up to the officials to stamp it out. And the only way to do that is by issuing cards. And there's no point in waiting till the 8th minute of injury time to do it. Do it when it starts happening, and then players get the message. So 8th minute, bang, yellow card for Bradley Collins for taking ages to take a free kick. And then conversely, when Wycombe were in the lead, 2-1 in the second half, he booked a Wycombe player for time wasting immediately as it started happening. So credit to him for that. And that was good to see. But the goal for David Wheeler really turned things around for Wycombe Wanderers, because before then I thought they were second best all over the pitch. But the goal was a really well-worked move, involving all 4 of the front players, and a great bit of desire and a good run across the defender for Wheels, and a great finish. And I thought he was the man of the match on the day. I thought from 20 minutes onwards, it was a tough call for who was man of the match, but I think David Wheeler edged it for me. I thought he was superb. But then after that, Wycombe were very, very good. And the start of the second half, our co-coms, Jasper Pattenden, on the day, said at half-time, he said, look, this game will be won or lost in the first 15 minutes of the second half. And he was absolutely right, because Wycombe got the goal in the 3rd minute of the second half, a beautiful mirror image of the first, and never really looked in any danger. Bristol Rovers had spells, of course they did, and Joey Barton tried to change things up. I thought bringing on McCormick changed things up for them, but Wycombe were able to deal with that threat. Big Max in goal didn't have a huge amount to do in terms of stretching himself, and like I've said before, his positional sense I'm just in awe of, because he just makes saves look really regular, and it's because he stood in the right place. He hasn't got to sort of dive across the full length for the goal to tip it around the post, and maybe that's good for the camera. It's not great for the heart rate if you're a Wycombe fan, but he seems just to be stood in the right place most of the time, which is, I think, probably a good thing for a goalkeeper. A few question marks over his kicking still, but I think we're splitting hairs there, really. But as a goalkeeper, I think he's been a superb signing. But a real team effort to see it out. And I spoke to Gareth Ainsworth after the game, and he was obviously delighted with a Boxing Day 3 points.
Listen, I thought that going a little bit more physical today would have been the answer against Bristol, having watched them, very mobile, got a good side, play some real good flowing stuff and some pockets they pick up really well. So I wanted to go mobile in midfield, but then a bit bigger up front. That's why Volksy came in for Brandon. I'm sure there's a few eyebrows raised at that after Brandon's performance last week, but I think individual games on their merits what it will take to win a game, and I'm hoping that it was proved right. You never know, we might have won by more with Brandon in the game, but it's 3 points. That's what we came here for today, and all the fans turned out, got behind us in a real good way. Christmas time has been difficult over the years for this. We looked at our results recently, and so that's a great start to the Christmas period. This crazy fixture list. But no, Joey's got a good side there, and I think they're going to be up there at the end of the season without a doubt. Be competing for these playoffs like ourselves. So that's, for me, is a good scalp.
He switched it up a bit as well, especially the change of formation, I think. And Wycombe started slowly. Was that as a result of as a surprise from Joe Barton?
No, we worked on the new formation in midweek. He's been 3 at the back quite consistently this season, and he came with a 4. We worked on that. We thought it might be a 4, but that front 3, is very rotational. I think some good players in that front 3. Coburn and Collins, sort of buzzing around Marquis, who also was coming really short. So our centre halves had to be brave today and step out and really, step in with them into midfield at times and be narrow as fullbacks. That's what we worked on this week. And then when we had the chance, I thought Volksy would have caused some problems, and the first goal proved that. And I think it was always a threat that he was going to win a flick and get somebody in behind. And sometimes, that's the way to play, and we played that way, and we got the 3 points. But it's tough because you work on things during the week, and there's always the curve balls that come in, But moments like putting Curtis Thompson on 75 minutes, it means that this club's in a good place, and we've got this squad for the second half of the season coming strong. Dominic Gabe, Darryl Horgan, Ali Alhamidi not even on the bench today, So that speaks volumes about this place, and I'm really pleased with the result today. But I say, it's only one game. We've got another one in 3 days, and then another one 2 days after that, and that's going to be some tough travelling. Christmas period has been quite slim pickings over the years, so hopefully we can get the boys recovered to give us a good performance at Plymouth.
You've alluded to it there with the Brandon Handler and Sam Vokes decision, but now with everybody fit, you've got some tough choices.
Yeah, that's the way I want it. I don't want easy choices. I don't want the days of just being able to put 3 on the bench or putting myself on the bench. They're well gone. The Cougs have been brilliant, nothing short of brilliant for me, and backed me with everything I've asked for, and hopefully we can pay them back with some good performances, some good results, some good finishing positions. I've already had a text from Rob. He said I made his Boxing Day, so that's nice. Hopefully I can make his 28th and his first as well, because it'd be great to get maximum points, but I'm under no illusion that there's 2 real tough away trips coming up now, and we've got to get the boys firing on all cylinders to get anything out of those games.
I think I know the answer, but I'm going to ask you anyway. You've moved into the top 6. It might only be for 24 hours because there's another game tomorrow. Is that a big boost?
It's huge, it's huge, especially a couple of months ago. People were probably questioning everything. I'd seen my time here, and we were on a bad run and everything, but safe to say that Wycombe Wanderers are still alive and kicking, and like I say, a bit of patience after the big names we've lost, the big staff members we've lost. This club's in a little bit of a transition period. Well, not anymore. I'm safely saying we've come out of that, and we've got a real good squad, some real good names in there, and really pleased Wingy got his goal as well. Real clever finish that was, and Josh Scowen did his utmost to stop it on the line, but it was a brilliant finish. There was only one space he could have hit there, and David Wheeler, at the moment playing out of his skin, in these positions we keep rotating him in, and I'm really pleased for all the boys today. It's an awesome game, and like I say, I consider that a big win because Bristol are decent.
Really good to hear from the manager, as always. And as you touched on, it really felt like, Wycombe improved after scoring the first goal. In fact, in the first half, really kind of got into the game as it wore on, really.
Yeah, goals change games, don't they? And it really sort of gave Wycombe a shot in the arm that they needed. It came from nothing against the run of play. But yeah, wonderful goal. As I said earlier, the team ethic of it was excellent. Vokesy, you got the nod ahead of Brandon Hanlon, and interesting to hear what Gareth was saying there about the selection headaches he's now got with a full fit squad. Brandon Hanlon scored the winner against top of the table Ipswich Town, but was then dropped to the bench. And Gareth Ainsworth was saying, look, it was because I wanted to go more physical against a young set of centre-backs and maybe not as big a physical side in Bristol Rovers as perhaps others are in League One. And obviously with hindsight, we look back on it and go, well, that was a fantastic decision. And because it's the 3 points, but we could see that in full effect for the goal because it was a Vokes flick down to McCleary and then Mehmeti to Wheeler, and David Wheeler has really, I think, found his position in that 3 behind the striker, and it was good to speak to him after the game as well about that position and also about him becoming a leader for Wycombe Wanderers.
Another hard-fought win. I think Bristol Rovers are a solid team, play some good football. But again, I think the hard work that we put in, the discipline that we showed, especially in the second half when we were under cosh a little bit, was really good to see. And I think that's given us some consistency in the last few games.
Your goal changed things up. It was a slow start for Wycombe before then.
Yeah, I still think we had some good bits. We were threatening a little bit in the first, early stages. I think someone said that the goal was actually offside. So it was a well worked move by them, but I think he was fractionally offside. But even so, they had a lot of pressure in the first 10-15 minutes. We were a little bit slow up the blocks maybe, but it was nice to see that we turned the corner halfway through, and we had some good chances ourselves that potentially we should have come in a couple of goals ahead maybe.
A good team goal as well for you. You finished off, but a good team, a good move. Yeah.
We used Vokesy's strengths. He did his job as he always does, and worked it wide. G come in, worked it wide to Anis, and Anis put in a great ball for me, and I just slid in and finished it off. So yeah, it was. I think when we play to our strengths, we are very effective.
We got used to you popping up all over the pitch at various points this season, but you look like you got a settled position now in this team.
Yeah, it was a different position again today actually, but may not have looked like it. But yeah, again, I'm happy to be valued and to be used in any way needed. Obviously, everyone wants to play in their favoured position, but if I can be out there and contribute to the team and to positive results like the last few we've had, then I'm happy.
Some tough choices coming up for the gaffer now because players are coming back from injury, and great to see Curtis Thompson coming off the bench today as well for the first time this season.
Yeah, I mean, it's as the old cliche is, it's a good problem to have. It's great that we've got Kurt, but Kurt's such a solid player at this level. He's no one would want to play against him. He's so dogged in midfield, always wins second balls, and is just a great presser and good on the ball as well. Like he's popped up a couple of goals last year or so, and so a big player to come back, and good competition.
Gareth Ainsworth has described you now as one of the leaders in the dressing room, albeit a quieter style of leadership to perhaps what was here before in seasons gone past. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, it's an honour. It's an honour and privilege to be in that position. I try my best to help players on and off the pitch with any advice, and like you said, possibly a little bit different. A Blooms or a Bayo or a Darius in the past. I'm a little bit like quieter, a little bit more reserved, a bit more calm, but I like to think that it can be effective in different ways. So I'm it's an honour to be in that position and to help especially younger players to improve.
Plymouth top of the table, but you've just alluded to it. Wycombe in good form as well. You must be going there full of confidence. Yeah, I mean we go there full of confidence, but we are the underdogs. We and that's sometimes where we thrive. And we had a really good result there last year, so they're going to be fired up for the game, and they're in a great place. So I think if we get something out of the game, that's really, really positive for us. It's going to be a very, very tough game, very, very hard to get a win. I think we're capable of getting a win, but we just keep trying to keep the run going that we're on at the minute.
And really nice to see Lewis Wing on the score sheet as well.
Yeah, Wingy was excellent again. He could really pick a pass and give something Wycombe probably haven't had in their locker for a few years prior to him joining the club. And he's had to roll his sleeves up and get stuck in, as everybody does in the Wycombe Wanderers team. And alongside Josh Scowen, I like that combination because Scowen does a lot of the dirty work but can play as well. But Wingy really kind of has a bit of a class touch about him and can really pick a pass. He's got that Hollywood pass in him. Had a couple of sighting shots in the first half, well over the bar, but we know he can hit them from range. But the goal was much closer to the goal line. But there was so much to do there because of the nature of it. It was a brilliant run by Mehmeti and a super save actually by James Belshaw in the Bristol Rovers goal. But he was about 8 yards out, a very crowded goal mouth, and I think a lot of players or the crowd as well would certainly scream, shoot, or just try and absolutely leather it. But I think Wingy just kept his head there, found the gap that was there and just slotted it there. And it just happened that gap was that Josh Scowen's face was on the end of that gap, but he was fortunately well behind the line. So it was given, and a credit to the assistant referee on the far side as well for flagging so promptly to inform everybody that the ball had indeed crossed the line. But wonderful finish by Lewis Wing. I think he made it look a lot easier than it actually was.
And a really nice reward to see the team in the top six at tea time. Unfortunately, just back out of it on goal difference after Derby's draw on Tuesday night. But it just goes to show, doesn't it, what a good sort of run of form can do.
Yeah, I think that was a great shot in the arm, really, for everyone at the club and the fans as well, and also for Gareth Ainsworth, let's not forget that he's been saying that, when the players come back, when the injury crisis is over, and the leaders start to rise again in the vacuum that's been left by Adebayo Akinfenwa and Stockdale, of course, that things will turn. And he's been absolutely right. And why wouldn't he be? He's been here long enough. We should be able to trust him now. And he's delivered once more on that. We're only halfway through the season, so there's no delivery in terms of where we are at. Obviously, it's nice to be in and around the top six. I think we're seventh now as a result of that 0-0 draw between Bolton and Derby. And there's teams with games in hand, of course. But we're on the map with our points total on 23 points. We know what we need to do in the second half of the season. I don't think we've hit top gear yet. I think maybe we're approaching that at the moment. I think defensively we certainly are. And things are looking good. January is going to be a fascinating month in League One because there's going to be teams who've got resource, who've got the bigger attendances, the budget available to go out there and strengthen their squads. And we'll see what happens in those. And, I think it'll be the likes of Sheffield Wednesday and Ipswich possibly, who could well be the automatic promotion places come May. Well, they absolutely should be, really, when you look at what they've got available to them. So it could then be the scrap for the playoffs. And Wycombe have got the streetwise knowledge of how to do it with Gareth Ainsworth and a few of the squad members as well who are still around. So it's going to be a fascinating month, January. I think by the end of January, it's going to be a really good indication as to what Wycombe can achieve this season, because we've got some tough fixtures coming up crossing into the new year. We've got the week off at the start of January, but then after that, we'll see where we are at the end of the month, both in terms of who's in the Wycombe squad, be it people leaving, be it people coming in, and where we are with the points total, and whether we are still in that 6th place or that 7th place, or whether we've been able to crack into the top 6. Because it's no good being in there in January, as we all know, at the end of last season. We got in on the last day of the season, and that was enough to get us to Wembley. So if we were to get a repeat of that again, I'd take it right now.
Things are set up really nicely. And, of course, a big test this evening with the league leaders. We played the league leaders recently, but that was Ipswich. And Plymouth, obviously, in decent form, although, you know, they've shown that they are beatable as well.
Well, yeah, they've had a few injury problems, and, you know, lo and behold, you lose some of your players and the results start to drop off a little bit. They've drawn a few, they lost a couple as well, but, you know, they've got an excellent manager down there, and I think they're the best run club in the EFL. I look at Plymouth off the pitch and see what they do, and, you know, they've sold out their homestand at the home end for this game against Wycombe Wanderers. Okay, it's a Christmas fixture, they're top of the league. If they can't sell it out now, when could they? But, you know, it's a big ground. It's a bit of a sleeping giant. You know, they've been down in the bottom leagues for quite some time now, but I think they're doing great things down there. But Wycombe tend to do great things down there as well. They did beat us at Adams Park earlier in the season against the run of play. It was a game that Wycombe should have won on the balance of chances, but credit to Plymouth that day. They came with a game plan to negate Wycombe's physical approach. And I think that was the first time it was a bit of a reality check for Wycombe Wanderers, that finally, after hearing managers week on week saying, oh, we know what we're going to expect with Wycombe Wanderers, and then subsequently doing nothing about it and losing, credit to Schumacher at Plymouth, because he said, I know what we're going to expect, and then changed it up and just put all his big players out on the pitch and beat Wycombe at their own game. Since then, Gareth Ainsworth and Richard Dobson have come up with a couple more approaches for Wycombe Wanderers, and I wouldn't mind betting that Brandon Hanlon starts possibly tonight to try to get behind the defence and try and catch them out. I think sometimes the tag that Wycombe get with, we know what we're going to get, is slightly unfair. But it's interesting now that teams do come and set up a bit like Wycombe Wanderers, which is interesting.
You mentioned the 23 games, halfway point of the season, 35 points. You've been speaking to Rob Cooig, which fans can catch on Wanderers TV. I'm sure an interesting chat to sort of see where we are at the halfway point of the season.
It's always interesting to chat to Rob. He's got that wonderful kind of outsider's view, if you get my drift, in a good way, because he lives on the other side of the world. He's recently into football in the last 3 years. He's learned an incredible amount about the game, on and off the pitch, I think, by his own admission as well. But he's incredibly sort of open and frank, quite an American approach to being interviewed, which I really enjoy talking to him about. Everything's on the table, and it's good to have a chat with him. You know, changes off the pitch. We often refer to his sort of relentless optimism when it comes to where Wycombe will be. And, you know, so far, so good. You know, since he's been in charge of the club, his relentless optimism has borne out. I think a few people were starting to doubt it at early stages of this season, but look where they are now. And it'll be, I don't want to spoil it, but yeah, go on the Wycombe Wanderers website. You can watch this interview if you've not seen it already. And lo and behold, he's tipping us for promotion.
And obviously, it's nice to kind of reflect on the first half of the season, but also this time of year, kind of 2022. And there must be some real moments that stand out for you, not least the trip to Wembley. Yeah,
well, you know, Wembley was obviously a bittersweet day. A great occasion for any club in the lower leagues to get themselves to a playoff final. It wasn't to be on the day. I think, you know, as we've gone over in the past, Sunderland fully deserved to win on the day. It wasn't Wycombe's day in any respect, and that was tough to take. And I think that's caused a slight hangover going into the season as well. And that's now out of the system well and truly, which is good to see. But Wycombe aren't unique in that respect. But let's not forget the run that got us to Wembley, because, you know, a fabulous 14-15 game run, unbeaten at the end of the season, to get themselves into that 6th position on the final day of the season as well, in quite a calm manner. When I sort of say that now, it sounded like it would be absolutely incredibly exciting, and of course it was. But really, I think deep down, a lot of us knew that it was going to happen, and Gareth Ainsworth certainly did and believed it. And it's wonderful to see, you know, his calmness rewarded in that respect, because every time I speak to him about pressure, he says he always goes back to the Torquay game when Wycombe nearly went out of the Football League and would have probably gone out of business. He was like, that's pressure. He says, what we're doing here isn't pressure. You know, of course it is. He's just sort of watering it down a bit. But in perspective, which is a big word that Gareth Ainsworth likes to use, I can see what he means with it. But it was great to be involved in that run, and to see it unfold. And who knows, we could be relying on that experience again next year. Next year. It's still next year, isn't it? We're still in 2022. Check my calendar. I never do know what day it is, Colin, to be honest. But yeah, so it's that confidence that kind of from that run at the end of last season that Wycombe can use, not just the players, but the fans and everyone around the club as well. So yeah, some highlights really with that run, the win at Burton, the celebrations afterwards, the fabulous night at home in the first leg of the semi-finals against MK Dons, where it was a brilliant game, a brilliant evening for the club. It was packed out at Adams Park. Wycombe played superbly well. And then the nerve-shredding second leg at Stadium MK, not quite so enjoyable during the game. After the match, wonderful scenes, and they will live on in the memories of Wycombe fans forever, be it if they were watching at home or if they were one of the lucky few that were allowed into the cavernous, empty-seated arena in Milton Keynes.
And for reasons that you touched on, plenty of reasons for optimism going into 2023. As you say, a big month coming up with the likes of Peterborough and Sheffield Wednesday, Bristol Rovers again, Oxford, of course, and not forgetting Fleetwood. Yeah,
I think, to use the cliche, there's no easy games in this division. And I think that run just completely underlines it, doesn't it? Peterborough have struggled for form of late, and their manager's no doubt under pressure. And Wycombe Wanderers go there at the first game of the year. Hopefully they can put a marker down and get a great result there. Who knows what's going to happen this evening away at Plymouth, but you never bet against Wycombe in those situations. But yeah, some tough runs. I think what's really handy is that weekend off, the 7th of January, because it's an intense fixture schedule over Christmas, and coming into January and having that first weekend off may be a good position to get everybody fit and rested and raring to go for what will hopefully be a superb run in the second half of the season. And yeah, I think it's going to be pretty spicy down at Bristol Rovers so soon after them losing at Adams Park.
Well, enjoy the game tonight. Brilliant to speak to you. Thank you so much, Lee, for your time.
Cheers, Colin. Happy New Year to everybody and to you as well.
Happy New Year to you. Also, Phil will be back a little later on this evening. Your match build-up starts after us, and live commentary on Wycombe Sound on 106.6 and on Wanderers TV from 7:45 from Plymouth. And, of course, you can catch the full interviews with Gareth and David Wheeler and, of course, Rob Kewig on Wanderers TV.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Second part of this week's Wycombe Wanderers Show, a little shorter as it forms, in essence, part of the build-up to our live commentary this evening from Plymouth Argyle against Wycombe in League One, which is on the way. Some news from behind the scenes at the club. You might have heard that they're strengthening their football operations structure at Adams Park with the appointment of Andrew Howard as sporting advisor to the chairman and chief executive. The former chairman and sporting director of the club will work with Pete Kewig, Gareth Ainsworth and club secretary Tom Holder as well to advise Rob Kewig on football business matters, it says on the club's website, in order to achieve success in key areas. They include the management of the playing budget and assisting with negotiations, recruitment plans and succession planning as well. Lots to look forward to, and Gareth Ainsworth in some quotes on the website said Andrew is someone that he's hugely enjoyed working with previously, and he was a real mentor and supporter of him during his earlier years in management. Andrew himself said that the club has gone from strength to strength since Rob took over, and he's excited to be able to help going forward. Gareth and Pete have done a great job, and he looks forward to working with the team in an advisory capacity. Hopefully we'll get to chat to him on the Wycombe Wanderers Show going forward as well. News that Phil Alexander is leaving next month as well to become Chief Executive of Bristol City. You might see more information on that as well on the club's website. If you're listening to last week's show, you'll have heard part one of our chat with Mark, who's the Chief Executive of the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, and Kirk as well. Really do some great stuff in the community, including, you might have heard before the Christmas break, that there was some news about the Warm Room, which is coming to Adams Park. More on that in a few moments' time as well. But we start with a great collaboration with the Wycombe Wanderers Ex-Players Association and the Reardon Room, which is coming to Adams Park next month as well.
We're based at Adams Park at the stadium with the football club. We've got two rooms. One of those is primarily where most of our team work on a day-to-day basis, and then the second room is sort of an extension of that. So it's often used as a meeting room. But primarily, it's a project room, so it's almost like a classroom, a very functional learning space. Now, It's fair to say when I joined the club, it was a little bit tired. It needed a facelift, and there'd been a project in the making of turning that room into a memorial room for a club legend named John Reardon. And the ex-players and some of the Reardon family have kindly donated some money for us to enhance and improve that room, which we've done. And there'll be an official opening of that room sort of very early next year. And the room's now, I think, really, really fantastic and multi-purpose. You know, we're going to be delivering a degree programme in there. We've brought groups of kids to the programme. Us as a team use it for various different things. It's a really functional learning space that's going to really benefit lots of different people within the community. And also, I think it's a fitting tribute to Mr. Wycombe, you know, John Reardon, who was, I think, the only person who's ever been a player, a coach, a manager, and the club secretary of the club. So, you know, obviously had a really deep-rooted connection and love to the club. So we're delighted to be able to honour him appropriately.
Tell us about some of the other projects that you've got coming up.
Where to start? We're delivering a project in a prison in the new year, a level 1 coaching course. So we're going into a local prison to help support and upskill some offenders in there to support them if they're sort of reintegration into society with a new skill set. So I think that's great. We've got a programme called Gulp, which is about raising awareness of high sugar drinks and trying to reduce the intake within young people. So that's launching as well. We have got a warm hub initiative, which is a cost of living crisis initiative between the foundation and the football club, which Dreams, the official sponsor of the club, have kindly supported and funded. We're working with the local council on it as well to try to tackle it's very cold at the moment, and the cost of living in terms of sort of people's utility bills, as we all know, it's very difficult for all of us at the moment. So through January and February, we're going to be opening up some rooms in the stadium twice a week for over 65s with a +1 to come down to the stadium, get a free meal, save some money on their heating, and it will be a sort of a real social space with lots of activities going on and to try to have that social focus as well. We're going to put some family day dates within the 2 months where we're running that initiative. So there'll be dates where it will be for over 65s with a +1, and then some dates where it will be open to families and anyone who wants to come down to enjoy the warm hub.
And Kirk, you must find as well that the reaction of the people that you work with is so sort of rewarding for you as well.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. Some of the players that we're working with very much enjoy what we do. We very much enjoy working with them. And some of the players we've worked with literally are with us for maybe 10 years. We're currently involved with a program with the Henley College, where it's a football educational program where they can do the football side with Wycombe Wanderers, but also their academic side there with the Henley College. And some of those students that we're working with within that programme are now currently 18, 19. But myself and my team, we started working with some of those players when they was aged 7 and 8. So we worked with them for maybe 8 or 9 seasons now within the EDA, or their first introduction was a Saturday morning club. And it's great to still be part of their football journey, even at that age.
And Mark, it's great to see that, you know, even something like perhaps a first-team player going to a school and just the kids' reaction, or, you know, as Kirk said, just someone's progress as in developing in their own game as well. Yeah,
I think first-team players and our fantastic manager, you know, they're really passionate too about sort of supporting the community provision that happens at the club, and we have regular player appearances at our programmes, and I think players probably don't quite fully realise the impact that has on young people. Just seeing them, even just for 5 minutes, it's very aspirational for the people that get to meet them. And you know, we, for instance, recently Lewis Wing won an executive box for a game at the club golf day, and he kindly donated it to the foundation. Now we took a group of our guys from our mental health programme. It's called Keep Moving Forward. They're down at the allotment on a weekly basis, and you know, some of them have had difficult times and challenging times, and that programme's been a key part of helping them sort of improve their mental health, etc. And some of them had never been to a football match before, and their first time at a football match was in a box, and then they got to meet Lewis after the game on the pitch, and to me, sort of seeing their faces that day was again really satisfying and rewarding for us. So it's just great to be able to link the club the players, etc., with their community.
And how that stays with people. I was speaking to a friend of mine recently who said it was a brilliant day when Steve Guppy came to school and did some coaching, and got to speak to Steve recently, and I relayed that story to him, and he was quite disappointed because he didn't think his coaching in those days would have been so good as it is now, and he feels he could have let that class down a bit. But literally, that was probably more than 30 years ago, and people still talk about that now.
Yeah, I think they are memories for life when those sorts of things happen, and the one I've just described will be a memory for me. Like I said, genuinely seeing their faces and their faces not only at the start of the day but at the very end of the day. Even after what was maybe not the result that we were hoping for on the pitch, because I think it was a draw. It was a draw with Morecambe that day. But yeah, really, really great experience, and like you say, lifelong memories.
So, Kate, what's the main message you'd like to get across to people about the work that you do?
Just the activities that we deliver, it's all about fun and enjoyment. That's always the biggest message. Whether you've never played football before, whether you're a strong performer within your sort of junior club team, everything that we deliver is geared around fun and enjoyment. Whatever you do in life, it's got to be that message. So that's the biggest takeaway I would say to our players. Whatever you do, just make sure you enjoy yourself.
And Mark, similarly, what would you hope to kind of get across to people about the foundation and sort of what it stands for and how people can benefit?
Oh, good question. I think the key message for us would be we want to spread the word really about the foundation. When I joined, we were known as Wycombe Wanderers Set, or Set for short, which, look, I think without context or an explanation, perhaps that was what was limiting our message getting out there of what we're doing and the great work that the foundation is doing. So we've recently rebranded to Wycombe Wanderers Foundation, which sort of aligns us alongside the football club with sort of their website and social media, etc. So we're really hoping that that's going to help our story to reach more people. And ultimately, we're a charity, so we're reliant on, we've got some great volunteers, we're reliant on donations and people getting involved with what we're doing. So we hope that the rebrand will spread our message, because I was told we're one of the best kept secrets in Bucks, which is not what we want to be. We want to be...
Hopefully the secret's out now.
The secret's out. We want everyone to know about the great work that we're doing and the football club are doing. So look, if people would like to get involved, reach out. They can find us on our website, Wycombe Wanderers Foundation.co.uk, and there's lots of ways people can get involved and help spread the word, because if we can spread that word, we can hopefully deliver more provision, which means more impact.
Mark and Kirk from the Wycombe Wanderers Foundation speaking to us here at Wycombe Sound.
Online, on Radio Player and on 106.6 FM. This is Wycombe Sound.
Normally this would be the final part of the Wycombe Wanderers show, but a shorter edition of the programme this week because of our coverage of the game at Plymouth. We'll have full live coverage and commentary a bit later on. Our build-up starts in a couple of moments' time. The show, of course, returns next week when we'll be looking back at what's happening this evening and, of course, reviewing the action at Peterborough as well. There's a podcast version of the show wherever you get your podcasts from, so you can listen at your leisure. You can follow on YouTube or indeed the Wycombe Sound Radio Player page or on our website, wycombesound.org.uk. There's a listen again feature there as well. I look forward to catching up with you next week. But now we continue with our match build-up to tonight's game with full match commentary from Phil Catchpole.